Holly Jolly Jimmy Holly Jolly Jimmy, I think, is basically an episode that is kind of similar to Dexter versus Santa Claus from Dexter's Laboratory, but it's done right, and it's probably a good thing that this episode is 22 minutes, because believe me, this episode is similar to that episode, but this is basically the better episode of the two. Why? Well, it's pretty obvious of the premise alone. Jimmy Neutron completely convinces that reindeers, Santa Claus, and elves don't exist, kind of like Dexter does in his Christmas special. However, he doesn't go completely selfish completely. In fact, there's a reason onto why Santa really doesn't exist. 5 years ago, he wanted to get a star from outer space, which is completely rare and stuff. However, he didn't manage to get it. It's pretty much one of the biggest things that he wanted to get during Christmas, but over year after year during Christmas, he hasn't gotten any from Santa. And the only thing that he knows, because obviously he's a genius, that his mom and dad completely buys gifts for him. That's literally the only thing he completely understands of what Christmas is being like, and Santa Claus doesn't exist. Jimmy decides to go to the North Pole along with Sheena and Carla so they can understand if Santa does exist. And while during that time, Cindy and Libby decides to go with them and decide to make Jimmy really horrible by recording everything of what Jimmy is about to do. But then again, Jimmy has caused a mistake and always fixed that mistake, which is basically what the show's trying to do. So, apparently, you think that it's going to work for them. Well, sadly, it's going to get backfired. Anyway, Jimmy uses one of his inventions, and then the invention went overload, and then it zaps into Santa. Yeah, Santa has some kind of a concussion that he's unable to deliver presents all over the world, which means that Christmas is completely cancelled. However, Jimmy's not going to let this slide like the other times that he did in the past, so he decides to deliver all the presents all over the world. And he manages to succeed. However, towards the end of the special, they completely meet Santa, who is back to normal after his concussion, and decides to save Christmas like Jimmy's trying to do. So anyway, they manage to save Christmas from all over the world. They completely do this they actually do a brain blast of Santa's brain, which is actually kind of cool. Seriously, Santa can do anything in these specials, do they? The more I watch them. So they completely went all over the world, deliver all the presents, and while having Carla, Sheen, and Jimmy go back to their respective houses. And Santa managed to give Jimmy what he wanted all along for Christmas. And the only reason why it took 5 years is because it needs to be lit cool. Yeah, it's science stuff that needs to take time in order to have things be ready during Christmas. So everyone got what they wanted. Except Libby and Sydney after they completely almost exposes Jimmy from all over the world. That's pretty much what you get from being jerks, and I would easily don't agree with Libby considering the fact that she's always with Sydney during these times. But that's really how this special ends. Like I said, this episode is kind of similar to Dexter's Laboratory Christmas episode, but done better. In the first half, they completely try to go to the North Pole, and then Jimmy's inventions go haywire, while the second part, they try to fix Christmas by delivering all the gifts all over the world, and then Santa managed to get back to them after getting completely injured. So we never know if he actually got hurt or not. But then again, it's Christmas logic, so it kind of works for what they're trying to go through. And Santa completely forgives Jimmy for the mistakes that he did by accidentally hurting him, which really works. And for this show's version of Santa Claus, it's a very good version of what they're going through. Since this Santa almost got injured and stuff, he tries to help Jimmy since he's just trying to do the right thing by making up his mistakes like he usually does in this show. So I think that having Santa completely join Jimmy and his friends to save Christmas really works, considering the fact that Retroville was the final place they need to go through before sunrise. And I completely like of the idea of having different character, having Santa be a very major thing to help the characters, and having a brain blasts of Santa doing it. Yeah, it's actually kind of humorous to have Santa Claus doing a brain blast. It's probably one of the only moments where other characters have a brain blast, but Santa's the only character that ever have that other than Jimmy, which is actually kind of a cool detail. And it's a very typical song where someone doesn't agree on something and while the other characters do. It's a basic song that it's actually kind of good for what it is to start off the special. Again, we always get to see musical numbers in Christmas specials, so I really don't see it this much of a surprise like I do when I was a little kid. The second song isn't really much of a Christmas song, but it's more of a pie song. After learning that Jimmy completely ruined Christmas for everyone, his parents decide to save this December holiday by having a different kind of holiday all about pie. Yeah, if you don't know, Jimmy's dad loves pie so much and is so obsessed with it, and decides to have this holiday to actually live on in some kind of way by having involving pie. However, when they reach to a house, it completely backfires on them in the most hilarious way. I swear, people don't like pie, and Hugh just doesn't understand that. Christmas special isn't one of the best I've ever seen, but I can say that it's way better than the Dexter episode. Believe me, watch reviews of that episode and you might understand why. Anyway, I give Holly Jolly Jimmy a 7 out of 10. There's only one more episode to fill in my month of Christmas reviews, and let's just say that it's a very, very bad episode that is the complete opposite of what Christmas is supposed to be.